Laser sights can deter threats and aid in quick target identification, enhancing your ability to protect your family, home, and country. Crimson Trace, making laser sights standard equipment. Learn more at crimsontrace.com.
Today on Tom Gresham's Gun Talk, a new book debunks the myth that passion for firearms is a new thing in America, forced by gun makers, and examines the real history of American gun culture and ownership. Plus, a renewed war on that culture in California, a potential ballot initiative in Florida regarding military-style weapons, and more. And as always, call 866-TALK-GUN with your comments, questions, and range reports. And now, here's Tom Gresham.
Holy cow, it is T-minus 1 week. Welcome, Tom Gresham here. It's Gun Talk. It's only a week before SHOT Show starts, which is, well, we're going to have so much news from there. We're going to be doing actually a couple of shows from there with all the new products, new things that are being introduced, guns, ammo, magazines, holsters, lights, sights, lasers. It just goes on and on and on. And actually, we have a lot of that news today for you because people being companies, are already introducing products and announcing products, and we'll have a lot of that news as we go through the show today. Also today, it's a perfect time for us to talk about the war on guns, the war on gun culture, the war on gun owners, because a whole bunch of bills have just been introduced in Congress, and they are somewhere between horrible and unimaginable, and they are designed with you in mind. You have a big target on your back. You being a gun owner, the guns that you kind of take for granted that nobody cares about, yeah, they want to ban those. And then the ones that you know they care about, boy, do they ever want to ban those. And the magazines that go in them. So regular rifles, they want to ban. Modern within the last 50 years anyway. Basically rifles that have been introduced in the last 50 years. Yeah, we got to ban those too. And we got to ban the magazines. And we got to ban, pistols that are too short. I know that sounds weird. And arm braces for ARs, for the pistols. You know, the arm braces that were designed originally, for disabled veterans so they could shoot. Yeah, I got to ban those too. Pretty much anything on there. They throw it all in there hoping that they get some of it. But that's what's going on. We'll be talking a good bit about that as well. For the first half hour, though, we're looking for your comments, your questions, your range reports. I had an idea. Weird. I was thinking this morning about the first handgun that I owned. Not the first one I shot, but the first one that I actually went out and bought. And it was a Ruger single 6 convertible. The 22 rimfire 22 Magnum. You swap out the cylinder, single action revolver. Very cool. I mean, still out there. Still a very cool revolver. And I was kind of thinking about that and thinking about a conversation I'd had a couple of days ago about introducing new shooters with handguns with suppressors to make them quieter, of course. And then I thought, there's something else going on here, at least another option. Because I was thinking about how cool that single action revolver is. And what a fun gun it is for teaching people to shoot. There's no concern about somebody pulling the trigger twice, not thinking about it. You basically shoot it, then you have to cock it, then you shoot it again. But what about the noise? That's where technology comes in because, no, please stop. I'm not talking about putting a suppressor on a single action revolver. That would just be wrong, okay? It just would be, all right? But there's another way to go here. And over the last few months, we've been able to tinker around with this very interesting ammo that Aguila is making. It's 22 rimfire ammo. They have the Calibri and the Super Calibri. These things are really quiet. Out of a rifle, a fixed breech bolt action type rifle, say a Ruger Precision rimfire, it's stunningly quiet. It's actually quieter than a suppressed supersonic 22 rimfire. Because the calibre you just use is the powder, if you will, the propellant that's in the primer. Obviously, I know it's a rimfire, but it's not exactly a primer. But you know what I'm talking about, the priming compound. The Super Calibre puts a little bit of powder in there to get you a little bit more velocity. It will not run a semi-auto firearm. There's just not enough energy there. But you're going to be getting 500-600 feet per second, something like that. And out of a rifle, it says, pick. That's about all you get is pick. And then you hear the bullet hit the target down there, cardboard or steel, whatever you're shooting at. And I'm just thinking, trying to put all this together and thinking about our ongoing quest to bring new people into shooting, introduce people. And I'm thinking that maybe this really quiet subsonic 22 ammo in a single action revolver would be a really cool combo. I don't know. It just kind of occurred to me this morning for some reason. I was taking a walk. Yeah, it was like 2 degrees here where I am. And it's maybe my brain froze. It's a weird idea. I don't know. What do you think? In terms of introducing people to shooting, what gun do you use? What load do you use? Shotgun, rifle, or handgun? When you say, okay, come on out to the range, I want to show you this, I want to teach you that, and you want them to have a good experience, what do you do? What's the go-to for you? Cartridge, shot shell, rifle, pistol, whatever. Love to know that. Also looking for your range reports. If you have some questions or comments or you've seen something in the media that you'd like to take issue with, by all means give me a call. 866-TALK-GUN or Tom Talk Gun. Gun Talk, we'll be right back. When someone leaves you their gun collection, you may want a few, but what do you do with the rest? How do you sell them? Who do you call? Well, I call Johnny Dury at Dury's Guns. Whether you're selling one gun or 500, they'll tell you what it's worth and write you a check. Simple, quick, easy, fair. I trust Dury's Guns. Give them a call. DurysGuns.com.
Since 1937, Ducks Unlimited has led the charge on wetlands and waterfowl conservation. Wetlands reduce the effects of flooding and recharge our drinking water. But perhaps most importantly, they allow us to experience what makes the outdoors so great. Band together to rescue our wetlands.
Tired of searching the web for the best deals on guns, ammunition, and gear? Download the free Gun Dealio app today for deals and discounts right at your fingertips. Handguns, rifles, shotguns, ammo, optics, lasers, gun safes, targets, gun cleaners, grips, slings, and much, much more. Save money on products you want from the companies you love. New deals, discounts, and rebates added daily. Gun Dealio, available for free in the App Store and Google Play.
Are you looking for a place to shoot? The National Shooting Sports Foundation has a great website called wheretoshoot.org. It's the largest database of shooting ranges on the internet. It's also a great resource for shooters where you can find video tips, printable targets, and a lot more. Find it online at wheretoshoot.org. And while you're there, download their free iPhone app. That's wheretoshoot.org.
Reminder, this is the last week to enter on the Gun Talk, the January 6-hour giveaway. All right, last week to give away the 6-hour package here. Let's see here. We're giving away 4. I'm looking at this. 4 packages. The price pack 1 is a SIG P320 M17 with 100 rounds of ammo. Price pack 2, a SIG P365, yeah, you know, the one you really want, with 100 rounds of ammo. Prize Pack 3, a SIG MPX, uber cool, with 100 rounds of ammo. And then Prize Pack 4 is the BDX 1400 Combo Kit. Outstanding. That's really going to be hot stuff. So you got to go to guntalk.com/win. guntalk.com/WIN. And you can enter for a chance to win. Pretty cool stuff. All right. Oh, I said there were new products coming out, okay? So we got Springfield Armory bringing out, just announced, 2 new versions of its XDE pistol. Now, that pistol's already available in the 3.3 inch. Now it's going to be available in the longer 3.8 inches and 4.5 inch barrels. What is the XDE? Because you got the XD, the XDM, the XDS, XDE. Well, it's really different. It is a DASA, double action, single action pistol. So it's the long double action pull for the first, and then it's the lighter, shorter stroke on the trigger for the second and follow-up shots. It is also an external hammer. It's a Springfield XD that has a hammer, which is weird looking if you've grown up, know about the XDs. But a lot of people really like having an external hammer. A lot of people like the DASA system. And it's, they brought it out originally as a 3.3 inch carry gun. Smart. I think it works really well as that. Also, but people said, kind of like to have a bigger version of that. Well, that's not a problem. We'll just stretch it out. 3.3 goes to 3.8 and 4.5 inch barrels. So pretty cool. That's called the Springfield Armory XDE. This is in the file of, don't do that. Really? In Charleston, South Carolina, a man who was arrested by Colton County deputies told him he was exercising his Second Amendment right and believed federal law is greater than state law. Raymond Allen's been charged with unlawful carrying of a handgun. Here's the short version of this. Guy is open carrying, and he's carrying a police baton, and he's carrying handcuffs. And I think he's about 2 rounds short of a full mag here. Something's going on. He told him that he's not a law enforcement officer, but he wanted to have the police baton and the handcuffs in case he had to make a citizen's arrest. Yeah. When you poke the bear, sometimes it just doesn't work out for you. As I say, that falls in the category of don't be that guy, okay? Line 3, Paul's with us out of Tampa, Florida. Hey, Paul, what's on your mind here? What's going on?
Well, let me tell you what happened to me yesterday, and
Sure.
I think you'll see the problem. I needed to mail something overnight, go to the post office, but I can't go in the post office because I'm concealed carry. So I parked in the parking lot near the post office by a park, stole my gun in my car because I can't take it on post office property, go in, do my business, come back. Think of all the safety issues there. Somebody could have seen me stole my gun. Even unholstering it, there's a small but finite chance that something could go wrong. It seems if we could get a federal law saying if you're in a state that permits concealed carry, you can go in the parking lot and lobby and customer service area just like anywhere else in that same state. That would be a gun safety measure the gun banners supposedly could get behind, but even us, although the gun banners wouldn't. Over to
No,
you.
they wouldn't want that because it would basically say it's okay to carry a gun somewhere, and they want it to be okay to carry a gun nowhere. But to your point, I want to make sure people understand what you're talking about here, Paul. In case you don't know, it is in fact illegal to carry your gun into a post office, but also to have it in the parking lot. So what do? And yes, you're right. When you have to leave your gun in your car, you set it up to where it can be stolen. Every time you have to handle your gun, if you have to take it out of a holster or take the holster off and then put it back up, then that, of course, adds a possibility of accidental, negligent discharge. Stuff happens every time you handle a gun. It's just simply safer all the way around to leave it in the holster where it is. And frankly, just walk into a post office would be better. And I'm for it. I don't know what the chances of it being passed. I think it'd probably be like right around 0 because you could not get it through the democratically controlled House. At the same time, I wonder, try this on. Could this not be something that could be done with a presidential order, an executive action or an executive order to simply change, because it's just a regulation, it's not a law. That's the whole thing, understand. It's not a law passed by Congress. It is simply a regulation, and that would be kind of cool if he could do that. That's an area where if the NRA could whisper in his ear and get that done, that would be huge. Also, I think, frankly, it would help him regain some support with the gun community after his support of the bump stock ban. What do you think, Paul?
Well, I was going to ask on the air if everybody could write their representatives, but I think what I'm going to do is write the representative and write the president. I hadn't thought of your route.
Yeah, because, I mean, there's zero chance of this being passed, unless it got attached as a rider to a bill that had to go through. But at least for right now, I just don't see that happening, especially with the incoming Democratic leadership in the House making gun control and gun bans a large part of what they're doing. They wasted no time in introducing a wagon load of gun ban bills. And, of course, with the required vocabulary of military-style firearms that have no place on the streets. These are guns of the battlefield, designed only to kill as many people as possible. They have no purpose in hunting. They have no purpose in self-defense, yada, 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 ignoring, of course, all the lives saved by citizens, i.e. civilians, using semi-automatic rifles. And then every time they throw in a ban like this, they try to slip in as many semi-automatic everythings as they can. So, I don't know, man. I don't know if that would have a chance going through Congress, but I kind of like the idea if Trump would get on board with it. That'd be cool. Thank you, Paul. I appreciate that. That's an interesting take, and it's good to remind people, if you don't know, not only can you not carry your gun into the post office, you are not supposed to have it on post office property. So there you go. Let's see. Another, this is happening like crazy. All sorts of new products being announced. Out of Lewiston, Idaho, CCI Ammunition. You know, the folks that make all the cool 22 ammo. CCI Ammunition, let's see. Introducing new products. List includes the VNT 17 Mach 2 17 grain, VNT 22 Magnum 30 grain, a Quiet 22 semi-auto 22 long rifle with a 45 grain lead bullet. Everybody's kind of getting into the quiet loads now. The interest in suppressors has gotten the manufacturers to look at this and go, on 22s at least, we can increase the bullet weight and lower the velocity that way, or just lower the velocity and get to a subsonic level. Another thing to think about, and remember this, if you're shooting standard velocity ammo, that it would be standard velocity in a rifle, there's a really good chance it's actually subsonic in a pistol. What does that mean? Well, if you have a semi-automatic pistol with a suppressor on it, then you very well may be able to shoot high velocity ammo, and it would be subsonic in your pistol. And why would that be? Well, let's take a look at it. Say it's a 5-inch barrel pistol versus a 16-inch barrel rifle. 11 inches difference, and you're going to be gaining or losing, depending on which way you go, 25 to 50 feet per second per inch. 10 inches, call it 10 inches. So it could be anywhere from 250 to 500 feet per second less in your pistol. So that 11 or 1,200 feet per second projectile out of your 22 rifle might be coming out at 6, 7, 8, 900 feet. And just a reminder, 1,100 feet per second is the level at which it becomes not hypersonic. I used to say that, and somebody corrected me. It's supersonic. They said hypersonic is 5 times the speed of sound, Tom. Okay, got it, understand. Even though the marketing guys will sometimes say it's a hypersonic load. So it's supersonic above 1,100 feet per second, and it's subsonic below that. So your pistol could shoot high velocity ammo and maybe get away with that. Let's go to Lance in Reno on line 3. Hey, Lance.
Yeah, it's Vance with a V. Victor.
Oh, Vance with a V. Sorry about that. Hey, Vance.
Yeah, well, that's the way with the alphabet. Anyways, I got a new toy for my computer to where I could read my 3.5 floppy disks again.
Uh-huh.
And I just tripped over an article that I totally forgot about. I think it was penned by Larry Pratt and Company, I don't know, somewhere about 10, 11, 12 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I would like to get it to you in its entirety, but here's what it is. Criminals for the Prevention of Firearms Ownership. Now, I've edited it a little bit at the start here. And it's an organization of criminals, terrorists, scumbags, wannabe bad boys, gangbangers, felons. I'm not sure what that other word is. But anyways, I put in Democrat, socialist politicians, and dominant news media. Our purpose is to disarm the law-abiding community. It goes about 3 pages. How can I get it to you?
Easy. Tom@guntalk.com. That's my email address.
At guntalk.com in its entirety. Okay, I'll do that then.
Thanks, Vance. I appreciate that. That sounds like a pretty funny article. It's, and here's the thing. You understand that kind of thing we do only to entertain ourselves. It has no value in terms of persuading the public or media or anybody else. We have to use other techniques. We have to use better techniques. We have to get serious about it. It is, in fact, a war on us. It's a war on our gun culture. We'll be talking a good bit about that as we go through the show today. Well, what do I mean by gun culture? It's basically the people who believe that guns are an integral part of America and that we use them responsibly. We own them responsibly. We use them safely. And there are those who say, no, we shouldn't have guns here at all. And your gun culture is the same as racism, is the same as terrorism. In fact, they actually say that. The NRA is terrorist. You gun owners are terrorists. Really, no kidding. I'm not making it up. They say that stuff. Tell you what, when we come back, we'll be talking about the war on gun culture, the war on us. 866-TALK-GUN. I'm Tom Gresham. This is Gun Talk.
Good morning, Mr. Gresham. Your mission, should you decide to accept it, is to host a radio show that will bring truth and common sense to the discussion of firearms rights in this country. Good luck, Tom, to you and your Tom Gresham's Gun Talk team.
You've heard me talk about it before. I talk about this hatred, not of guns. But, some people say, well, I hate guns. And they may. But when it comes to the organized gun ban industry, the gun ban lobby, it's not really fueled by a hatred of guns, but rather a hatred of gun owners. You've heard me talk about this for a long time. And I'm not sure people get it, but maybe you're starting to at this point. It's not the guns they hate, it's you. It's me. It's us. And it's a war on the gun culture. And no one has been following that and explaining that better through the years than David Codrea, excellent writer and observer and commenter of what's going on. He joins us again right now. David, how are you, sir?
Tom, nice to talk with you again.
Absolutely. When I say a war on gun culture and that it is fueled not by a hatred of guns but by a hatred of us, some people think I'm overstating it or I'm exaggerating. What's your take?
There's definitely two parts to it. There's what Colonel Jeff Cooper called the hoplophobe, the fear of weapons, but there is also what we see manifest almost like Linsky Rule 5 ridicule, where they call us pejoratives, things like gun nuts, amosexuals, extremists, and it goes on and on and on, okay? Mm-hmm. So there is very definitely not only a hostility towards firearms because they don't understand them and they hate them, but also what we represent is an absolute direct opposite to the way they want to reform and remold the republic.
You've been following this for a long time now, and you're a keen observer of this. What have you seen change over the last decade or so?
I see the traditional hatred that we've seen in the media, okay, we see now social media come up. We see these groups that purport to be grassroots groups. And in fact, when you look and pull the curtain behind, what you see they're funded by all kinds of foundation money. They're funded by Bloomberg money. They're funded by these billionaire tech industry billionaires. And the one thing that I've seen change the most has been ostracization, almost what you would call ideological ostracizing, ideological warfare, where you see that we're not only limited in terms of what the media can say about us, but also what we can say on social media. And we see ourselves continuously being smeared and tarred as being haters, as being extremists, as being whatever, to where you get a Facebook will shadow ban somebody or a Twitter won't allow you to do something, and now you see it entering into the financial industry with banking on disarmament, with the banks discriminating, with credit card companies discriminating. And so now you're seeing more of a sophisticated, I would think, assault from all sides on the right to keep and bear arms.
Toward that end, when you talk about financial institutions, and we had Operation Choke Point. We know what that was and is, because I think it's still there. I don't think it has gone away completely. But the idea that credit card companies are saying, well, we're just not going to do business with you. Or our financial companies say, we're going to have to not do business with you. And even if it's not a government program, if it's coming from these institutions, question for you, because you're really good at pulling back the curtain and finding out what's going on. I don't think they're doing that on their own. I think somebody at a high level, a Bloomberg level or something like that, is going to these companies and say, buddy, you guys probably don't need to be doing that. Am I paranoid?
No, I think that you see that, and I also think what you see is you see a lot of social shaming. You see a lot of these CEOs that are going to be pulling back because they don't want to have people boycott them or think that they're politically incorrect or whatever the reasons are. And corporations by nature, they're going to be kind of conservative in terms of towards their investors. Sure. I don't mean conservative in terms of towards the Constitution, but they're going to be very, very sensitive, and they all have risk management departments and things like that, and they all have PR departments, and they all have everything that keeps their reputation management being a priority so that they can attract investors and keep their stock prices up and do all the other things. And at the hint of you are now all of a sudden siding with these evil-hating knuckle-draggers, your average CEO who doesn't understand and who is just trying to keep things on the level is going to not particularly have the guts, or should they sometimes, to enter into the social fray. It ought to be just, look, we just want to do business with everybody. Right. But when they're not allowed to, the gutless cave in.
Absolutely true. They're risk averse, and they have to protect their profits, which is what they should be doing. Profits are a good thing. And I understand that. It's just I want people to understand that they are not coming up with this on their own. They're actually being pushed, as you say, either from the social media warriors, or directly from somebody they know, somebody at a cocktail party, a Bloomberg type. There's another thing going on, and you mentioned it, the Alinsky's rules, the marginalization of not just gun owners, but our voices. When they call us terrorists, I call it the new McCarthyism, because back then when McCarthy calls somebody a communist, the conversation had to stop, and you started defending yourself. I'm not a communist. It is the same thing that happens when somebody calls you a racist. And now you can't talk about whatever the issue was. You have to start defending yourself that you're not a racist, and that's what's going on in the gun world right now. Yeah,
and that's something that we're going to see more and more of, particularly as our generation ages and starts to dwindle and the new generation takes over. Look, we see the trend. We see the so-called liberalization of the younger generation. We see, case in point, Emma Gonzalez from the Parkland kids down in Florida, the daughter of a Cuban refugee. Well, you've seen, the Cuban community in Miami was particularly Republican. Okay,
right.
It was a demographic exception, and yet you see they're now going away from that as the older generation dwindles off, and the new generation that's been indoctrinated by the liberal. And again, always quotation marks around words like liberal and progressive.
Right.
But the new generation is embracing socialism, the very thing that their previous generation fled from and came to this country from because they valued our freedoms. But this has been the tremendous success that the left has had in terms of changing the paradigm and changing the way people think and erasing the cultural history in this country so that the younger generation really doesn't have a vested interest in the old republic that is dear to us.
Fascinating. We're talking with David Codrea. David, don't go anywhere. I need to take a quick break here. When we come back, there's something going on down in Florida that is basically getting people to start talking about, this actually may mean war, what you guys are up to down there with your gun ban agenda. We'll be talking about that. Our number is 866-TALK-GUN. Back in a minute with more with David Codrea.
Built for personal and home protection, the Smith & Wesson M&P 380 Shield EZ pistol features an easy-to-load magazine with load assist button, an easy-to-rack slide, and the M2.0 crisp trigger and enhanced grip texture. With its easy-to-rack, easy-to-pack, and easy-to-shoot design, the M&P 380 Shield EZ is perfectly sized 380 protection. Find out more at smith-wesson.com.
Hi, this is Tom Gresham from Gun Talk. America is losing critical wildlife habitat at a rate of 1 football field every hour. It's happening on the Louisiana coast, but it's critical to all sportsmen and conservationists. These precious wetlands provide winter habitat for more than 10 million ducks and geese annually, waterfowl that migrate north through dozens of states. Don't shrug it off. Get involved. You can help. Visit vanishingparadise.org.
Brownells has gone retro. Check out Brownells' new line of retro AR-15 and AR-style 308 rifles at brownells.com/retro. Whether you're looking for Eugene Stoner's original 308 design, the famous M16A1, Air Force 601, or the XM177 carbine, Brownells has the classic, new production, old-school rifle of your dreams. Own the firearm you used in basic training, carried in service, or that Grandpa always talks about. See more at brownells.com/retro.
Well, you may agree with him, you may disagree with him, but David Codrea's writing is always fascinating. David, where can people see your writing these days?
WarOnGuns.com is the best place to go. That's my blog, The War on Guns, Notes from the Resistance. Again, it's WarOnGuns.com, and that's where I link up to my articles on AmmoLand and my articles on Firearms News, and I blog the news issues of the day, kind of be a little aggregator on that. Go through my daily temper tantrums and my lame attempts at being witty. How's that?
You have always made it a part of your presentations to poke the bear on both sides and sometimes make some of the folks on the gun rights side of things uncomfortable, and necessarily so, I would add.
Yeah, the truth hurts, okay? What I challenge anybody who wants to, maybe I could say things a little bit nicer sometimes, but then again, sometimes maybe a little bit of harsh speaking is what's needed to get people to pay attention.
Well, when people are screwing up, it's okay to say so in hopes that maybe somebody will pay attention. Otherwise, it just keeps on going.
Yeah, I mean, Lord knows you and I never make mistakes, but other people do, okay?
I think last Thursday was the...
Exactly.
All right, so tell people what's going on down in Florida, this crazy deal.
Yeah, there are two ballot measures that may or may not happen. I'm kind of thinking that they probably won't succeed, but what they do is they give us a good insight into the mindset of what these people who say, well, we want common sense gun safety laws, what they're really about. And, of course, what they're really about is you and me not having guns. The first is a ballot initiative by Ban Assault Weapons Now, and this is a group that, and I should say, giving credit where it's due, I learned about this through a YouTube video from a group called the Florida Rights Institute, and they're at floridarights.org, so let's give credit where it's due. They're the ones who alerted us to this. The Ban Assault Weapons Now, they want to prohibit possession of assault weapons defined as semi-automatic rifles and shotguns capable of holding more than 10 rounds of ammunition at once, either in fixed or detachable magazine or any other ammunition feeding device, and it will require registration of assault weapons lawfully possessed prior to this provision's date and creates criminal penalties for violations of this amendment. So in other words, they're going to ban new semi-automatics that go over 10 rounds, and they're going to register the rest. Now,
all right, let me jump in there with my technical firearms background just to make sure people are understanding. That means every semi-automatic shotgun. That means every pump-action shotgun, because all of them can be fitted with extended magazines or tubes that will allow them to hold more than 10 rounds, even shot shells, even if it's just the little short shells. So that essentially stops the manufacture and sale of semi-auto and pump shotguns.
And it ought to be a real wake-up call for people in the hunting community who still want to toss AR-15s under the bus. Okay, they will come after all of us. But the thing is, I found some interesting things out since posting that on my blog. Looking at the leadership of Ban Assault Weapons Now, they're headed up by Congressman Ted Deutsch. Okay, and they have some Parkland relative survivors. They have a couple of rogue Republicans who have since turned independent. Okay, Deutsch is an interesting character because he's going after the usual agenda. He wants the expanded background checks, which we saw Pelosi and company introduce this week. He wants to stop the sale of assault weapons, which we saw Dianne Feinstein and company go after this week. Right. He wants red flag laws, which unfortunately Marco Rubio appears to be of the opinion that he somehow figured out a workaround around the due process problems, which he has not. And the other thing Deutsch is for mandatory smart guns, requiring smart guns that are sold to be able to turn on with a fingerprint and to require the gun manufacturers to make these things. But again, and I'm kind of trying to compress a lot because there's a lot on both ballot initiatives that I want to be able to squeeze into one segment here. So if you'll just please bear with me.
We are going to run out of time, so go.
Okay, I take a look at this Ban Assault Weapons Now. Their address is the same as the address for the Mary Barzee Flores for Congress campaign. Okay? And she was a Florida judge who became a Obama nominee for a federal judgeship, and she was sponsored at the time, again, by Marco Rubio until such time as enough people started contacting him and saying, hey, wait a minute, take a look at all the connections that this person has.
You know, he needs to just go ahead and change parties and make it honest.
You know, and she and Barzee's whatever the heck, or Flores, she says common sense gun reform is necessary to ensure the safety of our kids and communities. Weapons of war have no place in our classroom, which, if you take a look, an armed citizenry capable of taking to the field and prevailing over enemies, foreign and domestic, is exactly what the founders intended. That was the argument that was made in U.S. v. Miller, when even the government lawyers were arguing and the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court agreed that what you have to have is a reasonable relationship. Basically, you're going to send these guys
David,
out.
Hold on to that thought for a second here, David. I've got a hard break coming up. We're going to hit this. We're talking with David Codrea. When we come back, we'll talk about this other measure. It's basically a... believe it or not, just say the Second Amendment would not apply. We were just going to get rid of the Second Amendment down in Florida, as well as some other things. 866-TALK-GUN. We're talking with David Codrea. I'm Tom Gresham. We'll be right back with more Gun Talk. We're talking with David Codrea from waronguns.com, and I would suggest, I'm always telling you, get your intellectual ammunition so that you can fight this battle smart. If you read David's writings every day, new stuff coming out all the time, you will simply be better informed, and you will be building up your chest of intellectual ammunition. David, I know we're short on time. This other thing that's going down in Florida, or might be, at least it's being talked about. Give them the highlights on that, please.
They're called Stop the Killing, and they're proposing a change to the Florida Constitution, essentially to declare that the militia is going to be the National Guard and the organized police forces. That's it. Everyone else is not in the militia. They're redefining assault weapons down to 7 rounds, and they're saying that the militia, while on active duty, they can have these types of weapons, but in other words, what they're doing is they're disarming even them when they're off of active duty. So this is tremendously dangerous. It flies in the face of the United States Constitution, and it goes back to the same argument that the antis were making pre-Heller. This was exactly the argument that the Brady Center made, arguing against Heller, was the Second Amendment guarantees no right to possess firearms unless in connection with service in a state-regulated militia. And
I actually was sitting in the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals in the Emerson case when the government lawyer said no one in this country has a right to own a gun unless they're in the National Guard, and then only when they're on duty in the National Guard, not when they're at home. You could hear everybody in the courtroom just kind of suck their breath out like, holy cow. But that's exactly what you're talking about, David.
And that's exactly what they want. And, of course, Tom, you can find other people from all throughout who want to ban handguns. I mean, Brady campaign started out as the National Coalition to ban handguns. And so they don't want us having any guns. They want to redefine the Second Amendment. And this is what we're up against. And while I don't think that this particular ballot initiative is going to go anywhere because they've been out since April on Twitter and they've got 3 followers, they've got like 16 likes on Facebook. So I don't think that they're particularly going to go anywhere. But again, where this is instrumental is it takes the mask off. It shows us where the less impulse controlled among the gun controllers are willing to reveal what the more mainstream people still want to keep the mask on and call it common sense gun safety laws.
And they throw stuff like that out and they say, okay, here's what we really want. Okay. We'll compromise. We're only going to ban half the guns. That's our compromise position. And they want to make that sound as though they're being reasonable. And that's what they've been doing for years.
Until next time, until we want more. And then we're going to accuse you of making no compromise.
Exactly. We're going to take half your guns now, and the next time we'll take half your guns. Of course, I always say, my compromise position, I'm absolutely willing to compromise. I'm willing to repeal only half the gun laws this year, and then half of them again next year. But somehow... And
the guy behind this interesting point I'd like to make before you have to kick me off, he says he served 10 years in the U.S. Army and won a large number of marksmanship awards in competition, including Distinguished Marksmanship Award from the NRA. This is what I call big but. They all say, I believe in the Second Amendment, but, and then they come up with all the infringements.
Whenever they say, I believe in or I support the Second Amendment, but, what that means is that everything that came before the but is a lie.
Exactly.
David Codrea, thank you so much. Excellent job. We got in under the wire. Again, it's waronguns.com, right?
Always a pleasure, Tom. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You're doing a great job. I appreciate it. Yeah, if you get a chance, run over there and take a look at what he's doing. Yes, he upsets some of the folks on the gun rights side sometimes. And it's okay. Sometimes you got to stir it up a little bit, make something happen. Just simple as that. All right, when we come back, we'll be taking your calls, your comments, your range reports. What have you been shooting? And what do you think about the idea of using subsonic ammo in a revolver as a way to start off youngsters and beginning shooters? Also, just kind of question, what do you use when you're taking people out to the range for the first time? How do you introduce them so that they enjoy the experience? 866-TALK-GUN. Tom Gresham here. Gun Talk. We'll be right back.